So today I'm going to talk about chasing pussy. Man, I spent a lot of time chasing pussy back in my day. You know, I did ridiculous things. The one story that really stuck to me till today, right, was when I was 19. I ended up chasing pussy from London to Germany, to an island in Germany, because of my ex. I was 19, I was in love. What the fuck does a 19-year-old know about being in love, man? Absolute niche. Damn right. So I just got my first paycheck, for my first job, about 600 quid. So I booked a next day flight to Bulgaria to see her. She was in Bulgaria at that time. So I saw her, came back. About a week afterwards, right, she broke up with me. So I'm calling this girl, right? Ring, she ain't picking up my calls, messages, she ain't returning my texts. So I was one desperate motherfucker back then, man. I wanted that pussy back so much, man. So I found out that she was in an island in Germany. So I had this crazy idea that I just needed to see her, right? If I could see her, I could convince her to get back with me. I could use my wits and my charm, to win her over. So I came up with this ridiculous plan, right? To go find her in Germany with less than £100 in my account. So flights and train were out of the options, man. They were out there. So I booked an easy bus ride from London to Amsterdam. It was a 13-hour drive, man. £15 for that. So I got there. I had less than 80 pounds in my account. I couldn't even afford a hotel or any accommodation when I got there. So my first night there, I slept outside the bus station that night. The next day, I fair dodged my way from Amsterdam to Rotterdam. Then I was meant to catch another train from Rotterdam to a city called Lier. Then from Lier, catch another train from there to a city called Nordeni. Then from Nordeni, I meant to catch a ferry to the island that she's on. So yeah, long story short, this took all 4 days, man. I barely ate those 4 days, because I had to conserve the money I have, manage them. And even more than that, what scared the shit out of me, what made the trip took so long, right, was because they had officers actually patrolling the trains in Amsterdam. That shit scared me. The officers that had guns. I saw the fucking gun. So I had to be patient, man. I had to watch, what carriages had officers, and, I had to come up with a routine on how to cheat the system, So yeah, long story short, after 4 days, 4 days, 13 hours bus ride, fair dodging 4 trains from Amsterdam to Germany, jumping onto a moving ferry, which almost killed me. I almost died doing that shit because I got to Nordeni late. I got there around the time the ferry was leaving, and the ferry leaves it leaves the port once every 3 days. So I had to fucking get on that ferry, man. Jumped on that shit. People had to pull me into the fucking ferry. So yeah, so I go onto the island. Finally, yeah. So within an hour of meeting her, I got laid. Damn right, I got laid. Yeah. But she didn't take me back. Though she didn't take me back. She told me that just because we're fucking doesn't mean anything has changed. Shit. Can you imagine that? So that taught me a lesson, you see, right? And no matter how much a bitch loves you, right? You would hit a point in her, you hit a place in her heart, right? Where the flick switches, right? And she will no longer love you anymore. And once that flick is off, there's no turning it back on. You're done. You might as well start planning the divorce. But yeah, that didn't stop me from chasing after pussy. Hell no. This isn't some story about a bitch that hurt me, that turned me into a beast or made me into a savage. Hell no. This is an accumulation of the knowledge from my past, mostly from my failures, so I can tell you what works and what doesn't. Okay? So yeah, so I continued chasing pussy, man, for a couple more years. And relentlessly, man. Pussy was a drug to me, man. I would do almost anything for that shit. I wanted a high all the time, man. I got to a point when I started seeing what was wrong with chasing pussy, right? was that it leaves you at the mercy at whoever's got the pussy. You become a slave to it. You start doing shit that you never thought you could do just for pussy. Your standards drop. You start taking rejection too personally because you've tied your self-worth to the pussy. And even worse than that, right? More than that, right? You lose focus of what truly matters, which is your purpose. I'm sure you've heard this before, right? They'll tell you, you've heard it say that, work on yourself or get a good job, then the girls will chase after you. Or how I like to put it is that work on your purpose, then the pussy chase after you. But what the fuck is a purpose? First of all, a purpose isn't a job. A job is something you exchange your time for money. That's the definition of a job. A purpose is something that you would do for free. It's a passion of yours that you would do for free. A purpose is something that builds you into a stronger character. There's some times where your purpose, you do get paid for your purpose, which is great. A purpose could be a career path that you're passionate about. Or going to the gym to build yourself into a stronger fucking machine. Or a purpose could be you studying to accumulate knowledge. Or a purpose could be that business you go on the side, that you're running on the side. After work, you still come back home, you put in those extra hours into that shit. So when you work rigorously on your purpose, right, it gives you a certain level of entitlement. When you work 60 to 80 hours a week on your purpose, right, you're not wasting your time on bullshit. That shit is taking you somewhere. And that's where that entitlement comes from, man. Because in the near future, right, that things are going to be in your favor. You know that in your heart. It makes you more confident. It makes you more resilient. And bitches, they can smell this about you, man. When you're working 60 hours a week on your purpose, you don't have time to be chasing after bitches. Literally, you don't have the time. And I'm not telling you not to go after bitches. Hell no, I'm not telling you not to do that shit. You have to socialize with bitches. How else are you going to get laid? But when you're working on your purpose and you're socializing with bitches, there's a different aura around you, man. And that's what bitches smells, man. That's what attracts them to you. You're more laid back. You're more confident. You're more entitled to that bitch. Because deep down in your heart, right? In your heart, at your core, that things are going to go in your favor. You know it. And even more than that, right? You're not desperate to chase after that bitch. Because that aura that you got around you, right, is always going to be pulling more bitches to you. Always. And you know it. And it's that desperation anyway, right? That what really like repel girls from a lot of guys, right? Is that desperation that they've got. Bitches, they can smell that desperation. There's no deodorant for it. They can smell it. It's repulsive. Yeah. When you're working on your purpose, you don't have that shit. So if you don't have a Again, right? Most of the time when we get most things that we really want in life, right? It's not when we're chasing after it, right? It's when we're focused on something else, then boom, that shit lands on your lap. Out of nowhere, you're like, oh, huh. Okay. Well, thank you. I don't know how that shit works, but that's just how the law of the universe works. I can't explain that shit. So if you don't have a purpose, right, you better look for something, man. It's not too hard to find something that you do for free, something that you really care about. It's not that hard if you really want to look for it. And if you do have a purpose, keep working on it. It won't be long before things start going in your favor. Out.